Hello art students, this is Mrs. Brand here. Today we're going to talk about graphite pencils. When someone is really good at drawing, the pencils that they use can make their artworks look photorealistic. Let's see if you can tell which one is the drawing. Take a look at these two eyes. Which one do you think is the drawing? If you said the one on the left, you're correct. Let's try again. Which one of these horses is a drawing? The one on the right. Let's try one more time. Which one of these lions is a drawing? The one on the right again. The most common dry medium is pencil. Pencils are made up of a graphite marking substance. Graphite pencils can be purchased in various degrees of hardness. Hardness is usually identified by numbers together with the letters H or B. A hard pencil will produce light lines, and a soft pencil will make dark marks. Artists can suggest three-dimensional form with different shading techniques. Shading is the use of light and shadow to give the illusion of depth. Blending is drawing dark values smoothly, a little at a time, by pressing harder on the pencil. Here are some of the materials that were provided for you in your supply bag. From left to right, you have a 4H pencil, a 4B pencil, an ebony pencil, a blending stump, a kneaded eraser, and sandpaper. The 4H pencil is the most dense and therefore has the lightest value. You can tell it's 4H by reading the letter and number on the pencil. The 4B pencil is softer and will make darker marks. The ebony pencil is the softest and should make the darkest marks. This is a blending stump. It's used to smooth the graphite pencil lines to create a more realistic look. I like to keep one side of the blending stump for light values and one side for dark values. Sometimes you can even use the dirty end of the blending stump to add in value without even using the pencil. This pad of sandpaper is used to lightly clean the graphite off of the blending stump. The sandpaper can last a while. You can keep using it until it seems like it no longer removes the graphite. And then you can peel away the layer and use the clean piece below. This eraser works great with graphite pencils and blending because you can mold it into different shapes and knead it to make it clean. In order to start using this, you will need to knead it first. You need to take it out of the plastic and then pull it apart and put it back together. It feels kind of like silly putty or Play-Doh. The other great thing about this eraser is that it doesn't leave little bits of eraser behind. So there's nothing to wipe off the drawing after you're done erasing. Now it's time for us to test out these materials. For this drawing, we're going to create a non-objective shape filled with value. The first thing you're going to do is fold your 11 by 14 piece of paper in half. One side will be for testing out the pencils, and the other side will be for our drawing. Begin by selecting one of the pencils and just sketching different values on the paper. Try different pressures so you can see how dark the pencil goes and how light you can get it. Then you can use your blending stub to smooth your pencil lines. Grab the 4H pencil and start by drawing lines all around your paper. Begin filling in the sections with different pencils using different pressure to create different values. There's no wrong way to do this. We're just experimenting with the pencils and trying to create different values. After shading with the pencil for a bit, grab your blending stub and start to smooth out the marks that you made. I like to use the side of the blending stub more often than the tip, because sometimes the tip can get pressed down and become unusable later. I like to also smooth with the blending stub in a circular motion. Another thing you can do is take your kneaded eraser and try to erase out lighter values. So if you want to add a highlight, you can do that with the kneaded eraser. As you're working, you can turn your paper. It's always best that you're not shading with your hand laying on top of pencil. Because graphite can be soft, it can get messy and it can actually rub from the side of your hand onto other parts of your drawing. So turn your paper as you're working. If your blending stub looks like it's getting a little bit too dark, then you can use the sandpaper and lightly rub the blending stump on it to remove some of the graphite. If you test it on your paper, you should be able to see that it looks much lighter. I like to use the dirty end of the blending stump to fill in white spaces with a lighter value. So you'll see that right now I'm using the blending stump where there is no pencil. Sometimes you have to trim any excess paper that's on the blending stump at the tip because it can interfere with your shading. A blending stump is just rolled up paper that's been tightly wound and glued together and then sharpened to a tip at both ends. You don't want to put these in a pencil sharpener. Instead, you want to just use the sandpaper as you saw earlier. Now that my drawing is almost complete, you can see a range of values that I was able to create using the pencils and blending stump. Now I will use the kneaded eraser to clean up any extra pencil that has smudged outside of my drawing. I will also use my 4H pencil to add in an edge to any of the shapes that I think still need a little bit of value. And there you have it. There's my completed non-objective value drawing. One last thing I want to show you is how to clean the kneaded eraser. Once you're done with your drawing, you can just pull the eraser apart, put it back together again. You can even break it and layer it back together again. But as you do this, you see it go from a gray to a very light gray. Once it's a really light gray, you know it's clean.